Hello, everyone. Thank you for staying till this late hour. I really appreciate that you are here. And so I hope that further 15 minutes will be fruitful for us. I'm Clint Lochmele, communication doctor and media literacy researcher. And I will be moderator of this discussion with title, Can Media Literacy Save Us from Disinformation? And I'm happy to have professional speakers for this panel. Marta Cereva, Chief Content Editor for public broadcasting media website lsm.lv. Iveta Lotane, Senior Consultant on Website and Social Networking for Ministry of Education and Science. And Beate Lielmane, representing UNESCO Commission, and she is Communication and Information Program Director for Latvian National Commission for UNESCO. And before we start, and just to warm up, I will give you some sheets of paper. Please take one. On the one side is yes, on the other side is written no. And I will ask Raivis here for some gender balance as well. Take your page. It works like that, yes and no. And I will ask you some questions, and you should immediately, without thinking, show your answer. These questions will be on the first person, but they are not about me, but about each of you. So the first one. I have never shared a piece of fake news. Yes or no? Yes and no. Oh, great. You are honest. Second one. I have told to my relatives and friends that they are sharing total disinformation. Yes, we are social responsible. Next one. I have improved my own look in photos for social media with help of photo editing, not just filters, but something more. Yeah. And finally, media literacy is a buzzword that will disappear after 3 years. Media literacy is just a buzzword that will disappear after 3 years. No, yes, no, no. Then, okay, thank you for your answers. Thank you, Ravi, for assistance. And so now it's time to go to the serious part of our discussion. And let's start with a brief introductory part. And I would like to ask you briefly in 1 to 2 minutes, introduce with yourself and relation of your represented organization with media literacy. So maybe Marta will start.
All right, so my name is Marta Cereva, and I'm representing public broadcasting media company's online news portal. And we have had several media literacy projects, and also we consider ourselves very aware of all these issues. And also, so the main thing that we are actually doing in our work is writing proper, trustable news, and all the news, most of the news are provided with a context. So this is one thing that we are providing to the audience. Other things that we are doing, we are having a safe place for kids. So we are aware that parents like to give their technologies to the kids, and mostly they're giving YouTube to them. So to save them from algorithms and everything else, we have created a kids safe place for them. Another thing that we are doing is we are constantly applying for funding to do media literacy projects. So from time to time, during the last 7 years, we have several fact-checking initiatives. We have created this year we created a media literacy page with all kinds of content we have produced during the last years, and this year's we have created comics on media literacy topics, and we provide opinions on that. We create tests for school children and analysis and incentives like that. And the latest and probably the most successful project we've done regarding media literacy is our youth project in cooperation with the news platform 16+, which is also a public broadcasting project. It's a YouTube project. It's a game show where influencers are asked to do stupid and silly and in between also media literacy tasks, and it's been very popular. So this is what we're doing. My connection with
thank
that.
you.
Thank you.
How about Minister of Education and Science?
Yeah, well, basically I'm working with digital communication. So my main goal is to change this attitude of government. We need to work more with stakeholders, with society, to understand them that we are the primary source of the things that can be influenced. So yeah, we are working with that, and of course we have, as you know, new curriculum and a school learning approach, which is digital literacy in general, not only media literacy, is main part in schools, primary schools. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And UNESCO Commission.
Hi. I work at the Latvian National Commission for UNESCO, and the main thing we do is we implement the programs of UNESCO in Latvia. And UNESCO has many different sectors. You probably know culture sector, and that Riga is the historical place represented by UNESCO, but also we have different topics like education, science, and also communication, information. And in this sector, the main theme is media literacy because it's closely connected with freedom of expression. UNESCO states that freedom of expression is not possible without media literacy because citizens have to be informed to make their decisions and to promote democratic values. And there are many things that UNESCO does. For example, the Global Media Literacy in Media and Information Literacy Week. It has happened since 2012, and Latvia has been really active in participating in it. And there have been smaller initiatives, but also last year, in October, the main feature conference took place in Lithuania, and Latvia was hosting the Youth Agenda Forum of the UNESCO Global Media Literacy Week. So Latvia has really showed that we are strong in promoting media literacy. And there also has been other forums. For example, in 2016, the second European Media and Information Literacy Forum, where the Riga recommendations on media and information literacy in a shifting media and information environment were adapted, and they encourage member states and also other stakeholders to be more aware that media literacy is really important in just providing sustainable development in all of our life. And also what we do, UNESCO has really many publications made by experts, leading experts in the field, and we are trying to make our society in Latvia more aware of them. For example, I can briefly show this. This is journalism, fake news, and disinformation. And this year, during the European Media and Information Literacy Week, which is a European Commission initiative, we presented this material together with the National Electronic Mass Media Council, and we encourage people to use these materials that are available. And so that's probably the most important thing. We try to share the knowledge we already have. UNESCO has provided expertise, so we can just further it in Latvia.
Yeah, thank you. So you are working with content creation, with organizing events, with sharing experience and policy making. And how do you think, what is the biggest one, or if you can't choose the two biggest problems in media literacy field now in Latvia, and whether this problem or problems differ from the situation in other European countries. Who would like to start?
It's of course hard to choose just one issue, but probably, as we talked before, that we have really many initiatives for youth and children. There are really a lot of, to promote media literacy in them, and I think they are really successful because we have to be honest, children are more receptive to new information. They are more willing to learn something new. But the main issue is how to reach other audiences, especially adults and seniors, because it's just human nature that as you get older, you are getting a bit more conservative and you think, I already know that. Why are you trying to teach me something new? And I think it's really important to change the mindset of our society in accepting that maybe we can learn something from the youth, because we know that youth are more technologically prepared. They understand the, I would call them the jungle rules of the internet better. And so they can help their relatives to be more, to better navigate the social media and other issues. So I think it's a challenge how we can reach adults, because also in my experience we mostly work with school children, but also when we, for example, teach teachers, you can see that they're really shocked. They don't know many things that their students already know. So we're also trying to find ways how we can reach other audiences.
Yeah, thank you. It's quite similar to research results we discussed previously in our previous sessions. So, Ministry of Education, from your point of view and your situation, what is one or two of the biggest problems in Latvian media literacy field?
Okay, the main thing I wanted to tell today is about competition in social media, about information, about how government in total gives information and collaboration with the media. So it's really hard for government to compete with the really interesting high-paid campaigns. So we need to struggle. We need to show our stakeholders, our society, that we are the primary source, and we hope that media understands that they can always ask us questions and we can work together. And the different main thing is this divided information space in Latvia, which we can't really reach the Russian-speaking people, though it's critical because of the law of state language, so it's quite a competition, yeah.
Thank you. And Alison, Portal?
I also am not able to name one. From one hand, I would like to point towards those huge monopolies we're dealing with nowadays, and here I would like to point out to Google more than to Facebook, since not everyone is on Facebook, and the use is not on Facebook anymore, but everyone is on Google. And we still haven't realized what the algorithm of Google might bring us to, and not just that, but all the other tools they're providing journalists with. So that's one issue that is worrying me, and should worry others in future. Otherwise, I'm looking also to problems like audience and also journalists' critical skills. I think there is a lot of space of improvement and problematic problems. Also, the fact that we, as users, as audience, are looking more to entertainment and maybe more for comforting content. So we have to break into the information space with something attractive. But then, the last but not least, I'm also worrying that we are losing trust as a media outlet, public media, for example, and not even mentioning all the others, that we have to really earn the trust nowadays. All these campaigns during the last, I don't know, 10 years have turned people into, like, we're not believing into anything, we're doubting everything, which is
Fake resistance.
yeah, and it's fine. But also on the other hand, when something meaningful is happening, we want them to turn in our channels. And so we have to figure out how to earn that trust nowadays.
You mentioned several challenging situations, challenging problems, and one of the aims of our discussion is to collect recommendations, what should be done, and what's your point of view, what should be done more by help of government? Maybe you have some ideas, what should be done, something different, something more. You already know that Ministry of Culture has done several activities in teaching librarians, teaching teachers, supporting media and Media Support Foundation for creating content for media literacy development, etc. But maybe you have some other ideas how to overcome these problems, how to find solution.
I have many solutions, actually.
Then please feel free to.
The first one, I wanted to talk about media and government cooperation. Sometimes it's like that the even reliable media doesn't ask us, the main primary source information, only collects one opinion. We are always reacting really fast and as fast as we can. The other thing is how to we need to change in government, we need to change thinking that we need to sell information, not just tell what we do in, like, for example, on Facebook, which is not the main media, but we post really bad posts all the time that doesn't reach stakeholders. Okay, we need to change this thinking about more be like businesses, that we need to reach goals, we need to analyze our results and make information more reachable from the primary source.
Do you mean some trainings for PR specialists in governmental institutions and trainings for media, how to better cooperate with government?
Yes.
In information sharing?
Yeah, both the media and the government workers who work with digital communication need to be really high qualified. And the media also, I'm not saying about all the media, but there are journalists who needs a little bit more critical thinking.
Thanks. Some other ideas and recommendations?
I would like to say that Ministry of Culture really has done a lot, because I have myself participated in the stakeholders meeting that were annual, and I think that it's a really good place to bring together different stakeholders, because then they see what other people are doing. Because I noticed, and I think a lot of us have noticed, that there are similar activities by different stakeholders, and maybe they are dividing. If they were organized together, maybe they would be more influential, because maybe it's smarter not to have three small initiatives but one bigger. And I think we have to maybe put like our interests maybe a little back and understand that we're working for a bigger cause, and maybe cooperate more. And I think that giving platform where other stakeholders can meet and discuss ideas is a great way how government can help.
Yeah, thank you. And I just wanted to clarify a little bit. This annual meeting takes place once a year. How do you think? Is it enough, or do this meeting should be organized more regularly? Because if we meet once a year, that means that we can only share what we have done, but we not speak what we will do, and maybe find partners in some other projects.
Yeah, I agree that it should be at least maybe twice a year, because first, like you said, we can bring together people to make ideas, and then we can look the results, what is implemented throughout the year. So I agree, at least twice a year.
Yeah, thank you. And Marta, please.
My main idea is that we should invest more in our teachers, and I'm not sure what we are teaching nowadays at schools. I try to look at this media literacy curriculum. Yes, I read it through, like scanned it through. I think it was very decent, but I don't think that is what is lacking. I think maybe we lack investment in other programs that, like, what do teachers teach in economics classes at high school? We were just recently discussing this in our newsroom, that the new journalists that are coming in are not able to distinguish elementary facts about economics. So we're not sure what's happening there. We should, yes, we should invest in teachers so we could be proud of them, so that they teach our kids. That is one thing, but I think also the same should be applied to other level teachers, also at university level, and yes, maybe here as well. We are actually looking for specialists in certain fields in journalism, like who could deal with serious topics, but that's up to themselves if they have been curious enough to read and educate themselves about those topics. So I know this might be approached in many countries, but in the end, no one is curious enough, unfortunately, to very high standards, and we would really look forward for more kind of curious journalists to come out. But the last but not least, again, one thing also that is very easy to do, but unfortunately it's still happening. There is one state institution, independent one. It's an institution that oversees public broadcasting company and other electronic media here, which is rising, and basically it's defaming public media in Latvia regularly, and that's not helping in all this field of misinformation, and I wish it wouldn't happen.
When we return back to training of the teachers, maybe you have more ideas in which format it should be done with media literacy issues. Would it be organized trainings by like Ministry of Education and Science or National Center for Education, or whether with help of international partners like British Council, or how it could be organized?
I think there are plenty of media literacy trainings, but the question is, are there trainings for the other subjects?
Do you mean not clear media literacy,
exactly,
but
yes,
media literacy in relations with economics, sports, arts?
So we would improve critical thinking of both sides of the teachers.
Can I jump in? Yeah, the new curriculum, the new project we have, School 2030, is the main approach is this, that not the subjects are one by themselves, you know, they are all working together, teachers are working together, trying to make this, you know, path, not only concentrating on physics or mathematics or economy, but they try to combine these all things. Okay.
Thanks. So for this discussion, organizers have a given title, Can Media Literacy Save Us from Disinformation? If we could measure in percent, which amount of percent would really be dependent on media literacy? If you think that these are not the whole 100%, which other factors, obstacles, situations and measures would be important to save us from disinformation? Maybe let's start with media content.
I think this is the most difficult question. I don't have a clear answer to that one. We as journalists should provide good journalism with context, so people would be able to read through the other messages they're receiving somewhere else, that they would have enough knowledge of what's happening in the world, what's the current relations with neighboring countries in business and in politics and all other socio-economical fields. Basically, let's do good journalism and let's hope it will help out.
Then you think that media literacy and journalism are the main stakeholders for saving us from disinformation?
Well, I don't think media should fight other ways than with providing good journalism in this discussion of misinformation.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's really sad that nowadays, like reliable media like LSM needs to fight with the private media, which has some kind of interest. So, yeah, I think we need to work together. And I can't say the percentage that media literacy will save us from disinformation. Okay, yeah, because I will give example. For example, if I read something on social media, I try to look at the reliable media. I trust them, and then I try to find the primary source, which is this information, okay? And if it all combines, then it's very nice, but sometimes, but not always, sorry. But sometimes, yeah, it's the work between all the parties that gives information, that makes information, and the crucial thing is how to talk to your stakeholders, how to make this content interesting, not just only because we have to, you know, for example, in social media, we have to compete with the whole world with the very interesting news. So, yeah, we need to take like this media in a new level. We need to think about this more.
Yeah, thank you. And that?
I have to agree, it's definitely not 100% because there are many factors influencing it. Yet, I believe that media literacy is probably the most important thing that can help us fight disinformation, because disinformation has existed in the past, it exists now, and it will exist in the future. It's not possible to eradicate it forever, because that's not possible, because it's in human nature to have some bad
habits.
You want to do something bad to others. That will always happen. So I think the best cure to that is having these media literacy skills, because if we cannot fight the flow of disinformation and misinformation, we can help people be equipped with the necessary tools to understand what is real news and what's not, because I really think it's the most important thing. But of course, quality journalism and maybe some regulations are of course needed, because as mentioned in the previous panel, sometimes you just can't handle a kick in the face. If the flow is too big, even well-equipped media literate person will have problems to understand what's real news. So, but I still think media literacy is number one.
Yeah, thank you. And my next question will be related with this one. And I will refer to Professor David Buckingham. I assume that you as communication students know him. He's a well-known researcher and famous media expert and media literacy expert as well. And in this year in Helsinki, in September, he had a lecture. He gave a lecture on media literacy, quite critical lecture. And I really was inspired by one idea. He told that media literacy is perceived like a solution for everything, that media literacy will help to establish peace in the world, to help to civil rights, will combat starving in the world, and etc. What do you think about this, like media literacy is perceived like a solution, like a solutionism, that this is a world, this is a word and concept that will help to solve everything? How do you think, isn't it really exaggerated a little bit that media literacy is the only one thing that we lack, and if we will have media literacy, then we will be safe? from disinformation, from everything, all bad things in our lives.
Yeah, I can say no to that, because I don't remember I showed a no to. Because the media literacy is not the main point. You know, we can fight with fake news, we can do it, but people are driven by emotions, not by facts, and we should think about this in a very high level. We are all human beings. Also, those who make the information are also driven by emotions. So we need to think about that.
Do you agree or disagree?
I was also thinking of your first question of this session. Is this word or phrase going to disappear in 3 years? And I was thinking, no, not in 3 years, maybe a bit more, many more years. But yes, I think it is kind of a trendy word nowadays. Yes. I don't know what solution.
Can I add to that? I said that media literacy will disappear because I think we need to think about digital literacy, not only media literacy, because we can't control social media or media. We don't need to do that, but we need to understand that people are talking also in private chats, in private spaces, you know. So we can give them information to talk about, not to control it.
I agree that maybe the word media literacy, it won't help us fight all of the problems in the world, but I think there is some truth to it, because it's really important for people to get reliable information, and probably like issues of climate change. If you believe some misinformation, disinformation, you won't understand how important this issue, for example, is. That's probably how media literacy goes beyond just realm of everyday life and news, because the news are connected with different issues, topical issues at this point. And maybe we can save children, starving children in Africa, for example, but if the media, we get reliable media about the issues happening in the world, then the awareness of people can help us at least to go in that direction, understand that there are some problems we have to find solution to. So maybe in some ways media literacy helps to understand the issues we are facing, and that's the first step to eradicate them. But I agree that maybe the word media literacy, I also thought when you asked the question about these 3 years, I also thought maybe more years, not 3 years. But I agree that it can be named differently, but the idea that we have to be critical about the information we're receiving and using, that's the main thing. We can call it differently, but let's agree, today it's media literacy.
Yeah, and now I would like you to return to the first question asked to introduce with your institutions, and we talked about these problems in media literacy field in Latvia and in the world. Could you characterize a little bit what will be the next event, next measure or activity or project in your job or in your organization as whole? What will you do to help to this situation to develop and to get better media literacy for all of us?
I again have some material, physical material I can show, and it's fake or fact. And it's an ongoing project we have together with this faculty of social sciences and the Swedish...
There are posters upstairs.
Yes, exactly. Swedish Institute and the Swedish Embassy in Riga. And it's fake or fact, it's a toolkit which consists of exhibition, which is upstairs. Yes, you can go and see it. And a manual for teachers where there are 3 lesson plans. And the idea is in the lessons, school children, it's aimed at secondary school students, that they learn how propaganda is made, what tools are used, like you play with the emotions of people and something like that. And then the last lesson, you have to make a video on your own, propaganda video. And that's the best way to teach them. You make your own propaganda, and then you understand how it's made. And yes, this toolkit, we will present it tomorrow. It's really, and we have the
timing?
exhibition. Exactly, and it will be made available in Latvian electronically, so teachers can use it in their lessons. So that's our.
Will it be available in Latin language or in English?
Yes, it's translated, but electronically only for now.
Yeah, thanks. Ladies?
Actually, we haven't planned anything yet, but if we could find a good journalist, a contributor for our website, one thing we could do is fact check the possible Riga elections. So if there's someone in the auditorium who is willing to work,
There is job.
for the election time, if there's going to be one, then there is a job, because we lost our fact checker recently. So thank you.
We also have one place for communication specialist if everyone is.
We have job market here right now.
Yeah, but the main thing, we don't have like great plans as an institution, as the Ministry of Education and Science. We will look back at the last year, how our communication went. We try to support a lot of projects that are doing with media literacy, with digital literacy. For example, now we are helping with communication Samsung IQ, which makes about the healthy digital lifestyle in families. We love the projects that are making like really good content about media literacy, and we are happy to share them to our audience. So yeah, we will look back, but there is in government. I can't talk about it now, but there are about how to fight fake news, how to react fast, and what to do. Yeah, there is some projects. So yeah.
Thank you. It's good to hear that work is in progress and everything is happening. And now it's time for questions from the audience. Maybe you have some reflections about this media literacy, like a solution for everything. Maybe you have some comments or questions to our panel experts. Please raise your hand.
Not all at once.
Then I have the last question. If we can make some resume about what we have talked today, how would you say, maybe in one or in 3 sentences, what would be the main idea? Or what will you take with yourself from this discussion?
Can I start?
Of course.
I have written it down. I thought it for some time. Yeah, so the main thing I wanted to say, that the one is not a fighter. Only together we can make this informational space for society better. And we should remember about not only creating content or news, but how different audiences in with different interests will react on, for example, Facebook video or YouTube video, and to make this very qualitative content. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you. Beate?
If I have to say what I will take from today, then we will try to target our initiatives to a broader audience, probably, because, as I mentioned before, we're more working with school students, but I see that the problem is that we have to work with adults, and we will try to do it. And of course, as panelists mentioned before, working together, that's really important. And because every success we have had, it's in cooperation with someone else, because that's the only way we can really make some great big things realized.
Yeah, thanks.
And one thing I will bring is that Ministry of Education is always ready to comment us up.
So thank you for your contribution. Thanks to Marta from Public Service Broadcasting Portal LSM. Thanks to Ivita Lotan from Ministry of Education and Science, and Beate Lilman from UNESCO National Commission of Latvia. Please applause. And thank you everyone for being here. And now I will give microphone to Raivis.
Thank you, Quinta. Thank you, panelists. Thanks to all of the audience who survived through all this day. I hope you found it interesting, educational, and for students, I hope it gave you some ideas maybe for your bachelor's work or something like that. And yes, as we saw, that there are a lot of room for discussions, a lot of room for improvements, a lot of room for further studies. So let's go do it. And thank you all for joining us, and goodbye.